Now we are going to be talking about matters religion. Is that right, Father Liam?
That's right, Damien. Good morning.
Good morning. We'll talk to you now in a second. We're going to do a little competition first. I want to give a special mention, though, as well, to everybody taking part in the WAC half marathon. You're not taking part yourself, are you? Are you? Well, oh, yeah, okay, sorry, okay. You are taking, so it's tomorrow morning. Stephen O'Leary was on to me and to give it a special mention. It's a very, very well organised race. Everybody involved in the Waterford Athletic Club, I know, to do marvellous, marvellous work. So it's starting at around 9:30 tomorrow, I think, up around WIT, the arena. Well done to everybody taking part. Good luck to everybody taking part. And also to all the volunteers that help organise the route and things like that. So well done to everybody in WAC with that. Other people texting in. Damien, you said there was a 10% chance of rain. It's raining in Ferrybank now. Well, there you go. Now, our competition, our third competition of the morning, Mulligan's Pharmacy, 12 Days of Christmas, must have fragrances, all sorts of different things. You can go and click and collect on mulliganspharmacy.com. You can join their Blue Club to earn extra points in stores, and they're here for around 60 years. So all you have to do is, excuse me, Mulligan's Christmas Cracker. If you text in 083 3333 975, Mulligan's Christmas Cracker. If you're not able to text, you can call Audrey on 051 846 123 and just leave your name and just say Mulligan's Christmas Cracker. And we will then pick out a winner and then we'll crack our Christmas Cracker and see what your prize is for today. That's 083 3333 975. I get some people, Liam, that are quite pedantic about the pronunciation of three. You have to put the H into the 3. A number of people text in about so many different things, but Phil has texted in, Damien, please pronounce the H in 3. Another texter, Damien, council house tenants use local services like everyone else but don't have to pay the property tax. I've never been able to understand that. Good morning, Damien. As regards council rent, the council have left themselves open to problems when they stopped sending a rent man every week to collect rent from tenants. Instead, they issue tenants with a card to make their own payments at post offices. I didn't know that. That's a good one. Damien, love the show. How can small businesses keep going if we get more hikes? I'm a small business owner. I need more help. We can't have more rates increase. Please, please give us a break, everybody involved in the council. Happy Christmas to you and your listeners. That is from Carol. Father Liam Power, you are with the Waterford Diocese of Waterford and Lismore. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Damien.
We're talking about First Holy Communions, and if people want to text in their views about this, and it's an idea, I suppose. Well, it's more than an idea. It looks like we've kind of touched on this before. It's how religion, I suppose, is taught in schools. And there's a general shift away from the state, I suppose, incorporating religion in some respects in certain schools. So you're kind of coming up with some sort of way of how to manage the change if and when it happens over the next maybe even 10 years. Explain to us what's happening.
Well, two different issues there, I think. First of all, it's inevitable that there will be much greater diversity of patronage, and that's going to happen, and the church is fully supportive of this. I mean, we recognise the fact that a lot of people more and more today don't affiliate with the Catholic Church. They don't profess to be Catholic. It's right that they would have diversity of patronage. But the other point is that...
Does it make you sad?
It's a change in society and a secularisation of society, but I think there's something more authentic about it. I mean, people should have the freedom to choose like their religion, their belief, their practice. They shouldn't feel any sense of coercion. So in another sense, I think it'll give us greater freedom to be able to promote and to be able to I suppose, talk about and the fundamental Christian values like that we have without people feeling coerced. They can freely choose them. So in another sense, it's kind of healthier, like in one sense. But coming back to this other point, so there will still be Catholic schools. I hope, that we recognise that the diversity of patronage doesn't mean absolute total removal of religion from schools. But the big question that's challenging us now is the sacramental preparation. And during the week, the Archbishop Diarmuid Martin talked about removing the sacramental preparation from the schools. It'll be a process like over a period of a number of years. And we, in our pastoral plan in the diocese, Bishop Cullinan has part of that plan is to establish a committee to explore that whole issue of the sacramental preparation as it is experienced at the moment, particularly for First Communions and confirmation. As a recognition of the fact like that, with the diversity of religious belief in the society today, that an awful lot of people don't subscribe to, they're happy to send their child to a Catholic school but mightn't be practicing Catholics, but yet the children might feel kind of coerced into having, receiving and preparing for First Communion, even though they mightn't particularly believe in it. Very same with confirmation. So the question of, and it's putting a huge burden like on teachers and on schools. So we feel that has to be really kind of looked at. So the committee comprising parents, teachers, and parents, teachers, and priests will be is in the process of being established to explore this whole issue, to get the views of the parents, to get the views of teachers. Focus groups like will be set up. There'll be surveys established to see how best we can actually address this issue.
Like any organisation, when change happens in society, you try to manage change.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you see, trade unions would do it. When change comes into a workforce, they try to manage change. And the Church, the Catholic Church in this sense, you'd be looking at different models, different roles, how, for example, the Church of Ireland may work religion into different sacraments. What it does mean, though, and some people are texting in to say, why are we talking about this? It's important because a lot of people have I suppose, questions to ask about how their children are raised, as you say, the issue of Catholicism in schools, how they're taught. Does it mean potentially, Father Liam, that you will see children not being taught Holy Communion and confirmation preparation in schools?
Sorry, it'll be a long-term process. Now, I don't want to preempt what the committee is going to come up with, but I would say that we as a parish, in the parish, but also as parents, they're going to have to take much more responsibility for the preparation of their child for communion. Ultimately, the parent is the primary educator, but particularly in matters of religion. So we would like the situation where they freely chose to present their child for communion. In other words, they don't feel coerced. They're not just doing it because it is because it is kind of cultural Catholicism, because it is socially what happens. It is a rite of passage or something. But they would freely choose to have their child presented for communion. We don't feel that freedom of choice is there at the moment.
But you might see you might see a big fall off then in people attending communion services and receiving the sacraments. This is a fear.
It's not a fear. I don't fear it. I would much prefer that parents felt that they have that freedom to make that choice, that their child doesn't feel that I'm going to be excluded, I'm going to be left out if I can't participate in this wonderful celebration. But yet, my own experience, though, Damien, is that we meet with the parents for the First Communion and confirmation. Now, particularly First Communion, I honestly feel, I hope I'm not naive on this, that they might be practicing regularly, but there is a kind of residual faith. There's something about the Christian faith that appeals to them, that they want their children to experience and to be part of. I hope I'm not naive on this.
Well, people always look for answers, people look for meaning in the world.
Absolutely.
And sometimes they look through religion, sometimes they look through other different aspects. Obviously, the Catholic Church in particular has had a major transformation in the last 20 years. The clerical sex abuse issues have been
major. It has totally
really
undermined our credibility and our moral authority. Absolutely.
So within that, you will have people. I know my mother, for example, would be a perfect example of somebody who still believes, still goes to mass, still has faith, but
is disillusioned with the church. And disheartened with the church.
And then how are you going to pass on the faith then to your children and grandchildren when you yourself are feeling disillusioned?
I suppose I feel very, very disillusioned, and I'd like to hope people can maybe differentiate between the church as an institution and the basic gospel message. Like, I mean, the church presents itself as the upholder of this tradition. So we have major issues around credibility, and the whole moral authority is totally undermined. So I mean, that is a major challenge facing us. But could I say, like, just
what's going to happen? We're sorry, Father. What's going to happen now? How do people get in touch with you? How do people talk about these potential changes and this discourse and the surveys that you want parishioners to get involved in?
We're going to have the committee is being established. They will, I understand they're in the preliminary process, but they will have focus groups for parents. I will also believe that they will send out a survey form to all the schools for parents to be involved. They will also communicate with the children themselves. Can I just say, we have an experience of this in our own parish at present. The children from Newtown School, for instance, they're not part of a Catholic school. There's no pressure on them whatsoever, on their parents to present them for communion. Yet there are 12 children from Newtown School. The parents are freely chosen to have their child make their first communion, and we have a parish catechist who meets with them and prepares with them once a week, and they take part in the different preparation ceremonies, rituals in the church itself. And their communion ceremony is very, very meaningful because it's part of their Sunday gathering. They make their communion during the actual Sunday Mass. So it's initiation into that community, and it's very, very meaningful, and it works very well.
12 out of a class of maybe 24?
Oh, 12, I'm not sure. There's two classes together.
Two classes together, yeah, okay.
So it could be most of the class.
So the template is there. Yeah,
the template is there.
Father Liam, thanks very much for coming in to us.
Thank you very much, Damien.
Really appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon. Okay. Next we have the rebirth of a village. Hello, Patty.
Hello there, Damien.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Thanks very much for calling in to us.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Delighted you got through. You were telling Audrey you've been trying to get through for years.
Years. This is the first time I've ever got through to you.
Ah.
Yes.
Patty Flannelly, you're living where? In Griffith Place, is it?
17 Griffith Place, that's right, yes.
Is it raining up there at the minute, or how is it?
No, it's lovely. The sun is shining. It's lovely up here at the moment.
Ah, lovely. And do you like WLR?
I love it. I listen to it every day. Every single day I listen.
I'm delighted you got through. And Jim, one of our taxi drivers who listens earlier, he said, make sure you tell people now that they can ring in as well, because some people don't have phones to text and stuff like that. Another lady, Anne Sullivan from Kilmeaden, she rang through as well. But you were the one who was picked out, Patty, so you're in with a chance of winning a little prize.
Oh, thank you.
Not at all, I'm delighted. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to play the little Christmas cracker. I'm going to pull the little Christmas cracker. Here's the little Christmas cracker now. There it is. Now you have to pick a number between 1 and 10. We had number 9 picked out yesterday, so if you can pick another number between 1 and 12.
7.
7. Lovely. Is that a lucky number, is it?
Well, I always seem to go for that number. You know. Yeah.
Lovely. Okay, and you have won. Oh, lovely. A Gucci memoir bag, 400 millilitres Gucci. So a Gucci fragrance. That might be nice, yeah. And a little bag as well. And a nice little prize from Mulligan's Pharmacy. Isn't that nice?
That's very nice, and thank you so much.
Not at all, and it's a pleasure to talk to you. And thank you so much for continuing to try to ring through over the years. And delighted you got through in the end.
Thank you, Damien. Thank you very much.
Happy Christmas to you and everybody, Patty.
The same to you and your staff. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Patty. Patty Flannelly there from 71 Griffith Place. And Audrey will give you a ring back there, Patty, in a minute to talk about how to get the prize. Well done to Patty. Thanks, everybody, for texting in. Jason Murphy has texted in, Damien, happy to see this change in the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church may be smaller, but it will be a true community of faith with people who actually want to be there based on belief, not just shallow cultural Catholicism. I hope this will be the first step in badly needed renewal, says Jason Murphy. Now, Bonmahon. I was out there in April. It's hard to believe it was April. And I went out there yesterday afternoon. There was a marvellous event to take place there last night. So here's a little bit from my trip out there in April when people were talking about the death of a village in rural Ireland and how it could be renewed.
Shop-wise, you have no shop there. There's pub was closed down, it burnt down, but now it's supposed to be reopening, so hopefully it will, because it's needed here, like, you know, they're supposed to be going down a restaurant, that kind of stuff, like, so it is needed down here, like. At the moment, like, it's just like driving through deserted village, like, you know, that's what it's like. Summertime is buzzing, but at the moment now, like, it's dead. This time of the year is dead.
Are you local yourself?
I am, yeah. Born and raised, yeah.
And what's it like? What is the village like at the minute?
Actually, it's hard going at the moment with no pub there, but luckily the pub has just been sold. It's been refurbished, so that's great. But no post office, no shop. We only have the beach. It's good in one sense and bad in another.
Does it affect you?
No, not at all.
No,
not
so lads will bring their packed lunches in here. You'd have your canteen and a bit of crack and a bit of chat.
That's it. So bring your own food with you.
We've such a beautiful landscape here, and I suppose the fact that there is no post office, there is no pub or no shop, it does affect. It does. I suppose a lot of people, if they're out enjoying the countryside, out on a Sunday drive or whatever, well, you'd like to visit a place where there's some place where you can get a cup of coffee or sit down, have a sticky bun and a cup of coffee or a soft drink for the kids or whatever.
Now, I know the summertime might be different.
Yeah, but I suppose we all like to. I think people in general, you like to just be able to get out, do things. Like I'm working all my life, and I suppose on your days off, you just like to do the simple things in life. You like to be able to go someplace local, enjoy the place, and be able to sit down and relax and have a cup or whatever, you know.
What would you have to say to that?
Well, I'm just thinking, I was talking to people during the week about what it used to be like here back in the 70s. Bonmahon was one of the liveliest spots in the county. We had festivals, and everybody in Bonmahon remembers those times. There was so much fun in the area. There was things to do, and people used to come here on holidays, you know, and you met up with the visitors and that, and you know, there was plenty to do them days, but sadly it's gone very quiet now. And what we do need is to get an influx of younger people into the village, where you have young families, and we're lacking that. There's an awful lot of older people in the village now.
So that was April, and this is now the first week in December. I've come along the coast road. It's a tempestuous Thursday afternoon. A lot of white foam on the waves, strong winds, rain coming down into the village of Bonmahon, and seagulls are fighting hard to fly against the wind. Going to go into Bonmahon village, and I think that the post van, the on-post post van just ahead of me, I wonder, is this the same postman that I spoke to last April? Be some chance if it is. Sure, who else? I suppose it must be. How's it going?
Not too bad, long time no see.
What's the name again?
Darren Power.
Hello, Darren. You've grown a beard since I saw you last.
So have you too, yeah, looking well.
You're having a quick sup of tea there now because you're flat to the mat.
Christmas time now, so have to get the cup of tea in on the go.
We did a little piece. Can you believe it? It's as long ago as April it was. We did that little piece.
Yeah, good for you heard it, yeah. It was a good kickback, like, you know. And now, like, since the pub is after opening, now it is opening there tonight over, like, you know, so, well, at least for Bonmahon now, like, for the people around, like, it'll be a little bit of social, you know, the outcome there. They can get out now and go walk over to the pub, like, you know. Before they were heading to kill, like, and, you know, with the drinking and driving and everything, like, you know, but now it is opening over, so hopefully now, like, you know.
Rejuvenation.
Yeah.
You might get more people moving into the village, and then you'll have more work to do yourself.
Get over Christmas first, and then I'll think of that, so.
I'll let you have your tea there and a bit of brown bread, a good healthy lunch.
Can't beat it, so you can't.
Thanks very much. Happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas, David. Take care.
How's the farm? Dermot. He's upstairs. Stephen. I'm the other man. The other half.
Nice to meet you. How are you doing?
Good, mate. Good.
What's going on here?
Awesome. Come on, I'll get Dermot.
God, it looks like it's some transformation.
It is, yeah. Well, this could be the cafe, but it's all.
What's going to be in there?
The cafe.
The cafe's in there. Lovely. Well, how are you doing?
Not too bad.
Well, lads, you're doing loads of work.
Yeah.
Dermot, you're mad busy.
It will be in a couple of hours.
Well, lads.
How are you going?
Good. Oh, look who it is. St. Paul's on tour.
I know,
Look at the weight on the head, huh? What are we looking at here? We're upstairs.
This is pretty much going to be the sports bar. In that there's Sky feeds back into the TVs, and the wires that are hanging down there is a big projector. So for all the matches, all the Premiership, all the rugby, is all going to be here. Pool tables obviously in the centre of the room, and in general, it's the younger demographic. This is very much for the younger crew. Music is a little louder. The place is a little cooler than it is downstairs.
So this is going to be a separate bar.
Totally.
There's 5-6 taps going in behind there.
Right. Yeah.
Who's working away there?
Well, it depends. It depends on who draws the short straw.
Picture of the coastline?
That picture is ultimately, if there was no wall there and you were high enough, that's actually the view from out on that corner. There's the headland.
Oh, beautiful.
So when that's done, ultimately that is a view of out off the corner of the beach.
Who did it, do you know?
We got, it was a local photographer, and we were looking at their website, so we actually bought the rights to it from a Waterford photography Facebook group.
Excellent. Very good. So this is going to be the upstairs.
This is very much the upstairs, the sports bar.
So we'll go downstairs and have a look?
Certainly, absolutely.
Now, so we're downstairs now. This is lovely.
This is very much the Monday to Sunday bar. So it's open 7 days a week. Upstairs will probably be only open for the likes of big matches and all weekends. This was very much the Monday to Sunday bar for the regulars and for the general punter coming in and out the doors.
What have you had to do here? Have you had to completely gut it?
This building was burnt completely to the ground. I'm not entirely certain. You saw the pictures that we had. There's one very telling picture on the Facebook page where you're standing right now. You physically couldn't see in from the way that it had collapsed inwards from the fire.
Oh my goodness! And we'll put this up on the website.
Yeah,
that is some picture.
It was absolutely gone. So the entire building was built from the inside out. So the structure of the building wouldn't have been strong enough to take the kind of work we were doing. So there was a steel skeleton dropped in from overhead, and it basically strengthened the whole building. And from there, we literally built inside out. So ultimately, the last thing to go on, even though the building was standing here, was the roof, because we had to start at the bottom and work our way back up. But literally, everything that you see here is brand new. Everything, all bar. There's a certain amount of stuff that we salvaged from the building at the time. The likes of the Tom Hayes sign was one that was 2 or 3 deep on the front of the building. The likes of the stoves we kept. The likes of the doors that are in the side of the porch are kind of a nod to the past, because they did survive. So we kept as many of the old pieces that we could and tried to build them in with it.
Have you got
one of the main things that we did catch is, you can see it built into the front of the bar. It's a mosaic that was done of the actual engine house, that you can see of the silhouette of the engine house up on the hill, and it was done by locals as a project quite a number of years back, and it's one of the only things that actually survived. It was built into the floor, so we kind of painstakingly took out every tile piece by piece by piece, got it ground, got it put back together again, and we said, as a nod to the past, we'll keep it as an inset in the bar itself.
It's beautiful. And the bar itself, all new fittings,
entirely bespoke.
Looks great.
Everything that's in it is entirely bespoke. Everything that's in it is new.
Can you give a ballpark figure on how much money?
By the time the first pint was poured, we'd had very little change out of £500,000.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but ultimately the place it's not just a small bar downstairs and a small bar upstairs. You can see from the back as you go through into the snug, the cafe is after being completely redone, rebuilt. The kitchen has been completely rebuilt and refitted, and what's now at the back that was always piecemeal is like this full staff facility, staff rooms, offices, new cold rooms. Everything that went into the place went in brand new. So it does. It's a totally different. While the actual bar, the physical serving area, isn't a big bar, neither upstairs nor downstairs, while it is reasonable enough, it is. It's very certainly not just the bar that was built. There's a long-term aim into the back of the building, out into the yard, where you have the bar poured already. If you want to go out and have a look.
So we're walking through an entire new area, new kitchen area, and outside here.
So what's happening here? And
we're looking at JCBs. We've got a few diggers. We've got a
concrete bar. That was the bar that was poured not so long ago. So what's happening here ultimately is that one of the buildings beside us here we're going in for planning this winter, and it's going in as a takeaway and pizzeria, that type of stuff, which is a decent offering. And then from there, this entire yard is being concreted, cleared, levelled, and the idea is that there's a covered stage going into that whole corner, and this will actually be an outdoor venue so that it's available for not just for bands for here, but it's available for any kind of events that are happening in the area. At least it's a contained area, and it's safe, and it'll have all the facilities with it.
Fabulous. Investment, obviously, you got to get loans, you got to get people on side. Number of different investors?
No. One. The majority of this was privately funded. To be perfectly honest, the intention wasn't to spend this kind of money.
Dermot Bannon hasn't been here, has he?
No, not quite. But it was one of those ones that it kind of took a life of itself, of its own, and where everything, it doesn't matter what was priced, it seemed to come in at twice the price, no matter what it was. So at the end of the day, but when you're halfway in, I think you can see from the end product that it's done very well.
Yeah, it's fabulous.
And no matter what way you go about it, once you're halfway in, you have to stay going.
You have to stay going, and I want to say congratulations to Dermot Lyons and everybody involved in that venture. The very best of luck to everybody in Bonmahon. Fabulous new facility out there. Cafe, bar, restaurant, the Engine House, just opposite the great Slim Kerwin's pub. I also spoke to Slim, and we'll have an interview with Slim Kerwin on Monday morning, up against a little bit of time at the minute. So I'm going to talk to Anya Nioglu in a second about a book launch that's taking place on Sunday. So to everybody in Bonmahon, everybody that was there last night, I heard it was a great night. Continued success, and we hope it leads and helps with the rejuvenation of a great village. Now, some breaking news. Donald Conway is to step down as president of the FAI. That's just come through. Paul has texted us in. He was at the opening night last night in Bonmahon. A fantastic done by Dermot and the team. Great job, everybody. Wishing everybody success. Seamus has texted in. There should be religious education in schools, but no communion or confirmation. Indoctrination is what he says. Now, a lovely event taking place this Sunday, and it's in the book centre. And there's a beautiful, fabulous book. It's called Scéalta agus Seanachas, Potatoes, Children agus Seaweed. And we should really be having this conversation completely oscuelga. Joining me is Anya Nioglu. Anya, diagwit.
Dias marachus, Damien. Hama and Vagar Mahagut. Ni boil them.
Thank you so much for coming down to us. Bhí mé ag féchant ar an leabhar in some book centres tá sé go háling ar fad. Explain to our audience, we should really be conducting this interview as Gaeilge. Please God, there might come a time that we will be able to do it.
Well, we can do both.
We could do both. Yeah. But if every national school in Ireland became a Gael school, that'd solve everything.
Couldn't agree more.
And it'd be no big deal.
And children in a Gael school don't understand that they are learning Irish. They are actually absorbing it. So there's no trauma or pain or anything like that. It's just another means of communication, which after all is what language is all about.
And that would solve all these discussions about how to make the language survive and develop and all that. It'd just be very, very simple, because children would just learn. Then they can decide, and a lot of them would continue with their studies off Gaeilge, but just be a simple thing, and it would improve. The teachers would have to be good at Irish as well, because we have very good Gaelgorian basically saying the quality of teaching is not great. I wonder will any Minister of Education ever do it?
Well, would you like to advise them? Because teachers have been advising them for decades, and despite all their best efforts, there doesn't seem to be any cohesive policy in place. There are several efforts and several good improvements over the years, but nothing that can definitively make sure that a student, having spent up to 13 years in our education system learning the language, can speak it. Yet they can learn Spanish or French in a small number of years and come out fluent. So it beggars belief. It's not that we can't do it, it's that we won't do it.
Yeah, like I was vias in Fiontraw, I was down in the Gaeltacht in Ondangan a couple of times, but it's scandalous that we can't speak fluently and people can't speak fluently as Gaeilge. Like, does it? You have just produced this marvellous publication. In doing so, it's a bilingual. So in terms of the concept around that, would you have loved to have done just a purely Irish book?
Yeah, well, to be honest, Damien, I had finished the book in Irish only around this time last year. And it was as I went around to the families of the interviewees, asking for a loan of photographs and, for permission to use what I had, and to museums and the like, that people were asking me, and will we be able to understand this, or will it all be in Irish? And the more I heard it, the more I thought, there's such a wealth of information in the video collection that I made between 1991 and 1994 with the older generation in my own area, that it would be a shame if it weren't accessible to people other than those familiar with reading Irish. And remember that a lot of fluent Irish speakers won't necessarily be good readers of Irish either, So it was then that the idea came about that I should really summarise each chapter in English and make my captions bilingual. So that almost became another book,
because that's a phenomenal amount of work.
Yeah, it is.
On a personal level, does that annoy you that you have to do that? How do you feel as you're doing that? Are you there in the middle of the night and you're going, I shouldn't have to do this?
Well, look, on one level possibly, but I've grown up in a bilingual country. My first language is Irish. I was reared with it from the cradle. I reared my children with it from the cradle. And I'm used to the swing of reactions from amazement to downright hostility that people like myself, get out there. But having said all that...
What sort of hostility?
That whole Irish, couldn't she talk English? Everybody understands English. So why do you have to speak Irish? Why do you have to be awkward and speak Irish? So even when you avail of your rights with state bodies or state organisations and press button 2 for Sherifish Trichailing, invariably you're put onto an answering machine which says leave a message and the person who speaks the Irish will be back to you in due course. And sure, you could be waiting a month and the person who speaks the Irish is so busy, providing for the whole country that, by the time they get around to you, you've phoned another 10 times and you just press button 1 and say, look, give me this service in English because I really need to get this thing done, Excuse me. Yeah, it annoys me in the sense, I suppose, that, it's yet another proof that people who wish to live their lives through Irish in this state don't really have that right. They have it on paper, but in practical terms they don't.
Yeah, I'd agree with you completely. My daughter writes a bit of poetry and prose, and she wrote a poem Os Gaeilge. She went to the Gael School in Portlarg and she had it printed there in an anthology up in Kilkenny, and it was the only poem Os Gaeilge, and it was lovely to hear her speak the native tongue as she was delivering the poem. And yet others that are in the cultural circles are scratching their heads going, I wonder what she means by that.
Of course, and I have a first-hand experience of that as well, because I've published 3 collections of poetry myself with Cush Came, and they're all in Irish, and I often am invited to do readings, but the poet who will do his or her reading through English will only have to write 1 poem, whereas I have to write 2 poems because I don't want the translation to be limp and not convey the meaning. Yet Irish is such a unique language that each word has its own connotation and not necessarily translatable. So, you have to struggle twice the length of time to get the correct words on paper, and then you deliver the poem with the passion with which you wrote it, but it's the translation that a lot of people hear. So yeah, we're a bit trapped here.
Yeah. And again, we're not going to dominate this conversation about this, but it goes to the heart in a way of a publication like this because it's fabulously produced. Tell us a little bit about the book.
Well, thank you. It's my own work from beginning to end. Back in the late 80s, early 90s, I had an idea that it would be nice to record on videotape, a lot of the folklore, the stories, the songs, the poems, the shanachas, the bailides or the folklore that pertained to the Gaeltacht in West Waterford. And, I had grown up in the area, knowing a lot of those of the older generation. And it's something I always had an interest in. I think it's just in you or it's not, and it was in me, definitely. And folklore was part of my degree when I studied Gailingags and Leon Dúchais in UCC. So I had a bit of experience with that, and then I worked for a short period in Radio na Gaeltachta in West Kerry, and during that time part of my job was to interview some of the old people in my own area. So that was in 1981. So that, you know, that interest never left me. So when it came to the late 80s, then early 90s, actually it was an exhibition in Garter Lane by Dermot Power, who was, you know, Dermot from Waterford. He had collected songs from old people in East Waterford, and he had a video exhibition of those singers in Garter Lane. And I heard it was going to be on, and I thought, God, yeah, I'd be interested in that. So I popped in one day and saw it, and I was so impressed by it. I said, I have to do this at home. You know, there's so much, there's this and so much more at home, and the Irish language on top of it being spoken by people in an unbroken link of however long the language is there, a couple of thousand years. And you know, when they go, there will be Irish in the West Waterford Gaeltacht, as there is, of course, and people are bringing up their children through Irish. But the wealth of vocabulary and the knowledge of the old way of life would have to be dying off with them, you know. So I went about it, and I got a little bit of sponsorship here and there, bought a Sony Hi8 camera, which was the top of the range technology at the time, and a tripod. Got some sponsorship, you know, from the local Corla pub in Naringa, and here and there from different people and small companies, and got going. So I was basically knocking from, you know, going around door to door and sort of saying to people, you know, could I call to you on Wednesday? And, you know, I was, you know, in a sense, some of them must have thought I was like the Grim Reaper. You know, if I'm old enough to be recorded by this one, I must be on the way out.
Undertaker's calling next to measure me up. Yeah.
Thankfully, 2 of the 21 interviewees are still alive and hale and hearty, and they were young at the time, and they're still, you know, young and active now, we'll say.
Cahúntaach. And now, after all these years, why have you decided to transpose a lot of those stories and memories to the printed word? Like, it's called Potatoes, Children, Agus and Seaweed, Scéalta Agus Shanachas, and it's Forgotten Tales of a Coastal Community. Why have you decided to do it, Anish?
Well, it was always my intention to do it, Damien, to be honest with you, but I've been a secondary school teacher for most of my working life, and, you know, even though we had great holidays, and it's certainly one of the perks of the job, and I would never deny that, and it gave me a chance to do a lot of the transcription, because transcription, you know, is so tedious. It's so very, very slow, such slow work. So I had done a lot of the transcription over the years, but to put it into book form was always a desire. You know, it was there from the beginning, but I just didn't have the opportunity or the wherewithal. So I was lucky to get sponsorship for the publication of this book. Firstly from Cólach Forbartha na Naoise, which is the local development group in the Gaeltacht, also from Creative Ireland Waterford, and then the Department of Modern Irish and UCC also pulled in behind me.
So it's a self-published book?
It's a self-published book.
And you had great work from a number of different people and help?
Yeah. That's right.
We're talking about a graphic designer?
Yes, I employed Michael English of Black Mountain Design in Dublin, and he really did do a wonderful job. I'm very, very pleased with the work he did, and would certainly recommend him. You know, he was easy to work with. He was very, very patient. He had some excellent suggestions, and I do feel that he presented it in the best way a book like that could be presented.
So in terms of, I was reading this in the book centre a few weeks ago, in terms of page 53, there's every sod of ground was tilled as all households provided the potatoes and vegetables necessary for the year's provisions. Chapter on potatoes, children and seaweed, Vinadina, Viadar, Egg Bra, Erna Prati. You focus on different themes within the book as well as people. So some of the chapters are dedicated to particular individuals, and then there's a thematic thing. Did you find it difficult to work those themes with the people, or did you keep them separate?
No, strangely enough, I asked most of the interviewees more or less the same questions, but let's say, for example, I have Michael Tobin, who was a fisherman all his life. So his main area of expertise then was fishing, and he told me all about the old methods of fishing and, you know, scary nights at sea and the types of boats and how long they'd be at sea and the drying and the curing of fish and all that kind of thing. So that was his expertise. And then you had somebody like Deaglan de Poyer from Anshanafubble, who spoke a lot about the Straw Boys and the Wren Boys and all the rest of it, and he was a musician and a singer and a storyteller as well, you know. Then you had Peg Benny Reagan, who was like a multi-talented lady. Oh my goodness. She was involved in Bonmahon. She could tell me about, you know, the Holy Well, about St. Bridget's Day. She was an accomplished maker of St. Bridget's crosses. She was watching for the 1922 arms landing in bi-lingual. She was, you know, she was an actress. There were just so many things about the waking of the dead, about the Maná Quinta, the Keening women, the lamenting of the dead, and you know, there's just so much wealth in our tradition, in our language, and in our culture. There's such a wealth.
It's a beautiful coffee table book, inverted commas. I hate that phrase.
If you don't drink coffee, where would you put it?
That's the thing, you see, because maybe most people in Rye would be drinking a mixture, wouldn't they?
You'd never know. No.
Any poaching down there, no?
Not that I know of.
Any stories of poaching?
One mention, apparently, yes, it used to be made up in the Irgultacht, in the wilderness of Anshanafubble once upon a time.
Irgultacht, lovely. It really is beautiful. It's on sale in all good bookshops.
It is, yeah. Mainly in Waterford City, you'll find it in the book centre. In Dungarvan, you'll find it in Reader's Choice. And it's available online from waterfordwriter.com.
Waterfordwriter.com.
Yeah.
It's something that should be read, and something should be read aloud, and parts of it. And also the fact that there is the bilingual aspect to it. You can actually learn a bit of Irish. Simple as that as well.
Especially from the captions of the photographs, I suppose, yeah.
Yeah. There is a reading on the December the 8th in the book centre at 1:30. Anybody can come along?
Yeah, it'll be a book signing. A book signing. Yeah, you know, I'd love members of the public to just come in and chat and browse, even if they're not buying. The book is €30. I'm told it's very good value.
It is. It's
I hope you agree.
It's beautiful. It is. It really is. I'm not just saying that. And some superb pictures in it, photographs, as you say, the way they've been worked in with the text. And you know, Gormy Machut, the Nari and Thalat. And
good, Sir Damien, yeah.
We hope you have a happy Christmas.
Now,
welcome back, Aidan McCarthy. Good morning.
Good morning, Damien. How are you?
Wonderful, thanks. Garda Aidan McCarthy. The Polar Plunge fundraiser, Special Olympics taking place Saturday in Dungarvan. That's tomorrow. You don't need me to go down at all, Aidan. Seriously, do you? Go on.
I never saw Wicklow meant to shirk a challenge, Damien. I hope we see you down. And let's face it, you won't even feel the cold.
Oh, I won't even feel the cold. Yeah, we're having our Christmas party tonight. I mightn't even feel my legs in the morning. I'd say the way things go. You know.
Sure you couldn't ever get.
I did this before in town as well with the guards organising it outside the Tower Hotel. It's a fabulous event. I'm afraid we don't have an awful lot of time to talk about it, but basically it's a Polar Plunge fundraiser. It's taking place for the Special Olympics. Where is it taking place tomorrow, please, Aidan?
Off the pontoon in Dungarvan between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. tomorrow. Anytime in those 2 hours or thereabouts, people can just come down and jump in. The forecasts are looking very, very good, so this is a chance for any local who has always had a desire to jump into the quay to do it safely tomorrow and for a good cause.
It is for a fabulous cause, and you do great work with Special Olympics, everybody involved in the guards, and fair play to you. So anybody around Dungarvan tomorrow, 1 o'clock, is that it?
Yeah, anytime between 1 and 3, so there's no pressure. There's a nice little window there for people to get their jobs done and come and have a little dip, and maybe start off a Christmas party with a dip.
Aidan, it's lovely to talk to you. Sorry we didn't have more time. I'll let you know tomorrow how I'm fixed, all right?
Good man. Thanks very much, David.
Thank you, Aidan McCarthy there, Garda in Dungarvan. The best of luck to everybody involved in that. Now, thank you everybody for all your texts and comments this week. Special congratulations to Jimmy Burrows and all the staff in the Fresh Food Courtyard, receiving the best food hall in Ireland. Fantastic achievement. Good luck to everybody involved in the event in Furries tomorrow night in Passage East. They are making a reunion for the 1994 minor hurling team. Good luck to everybody over the weekend. Have a great weekend. Thanks very much, Julie, for producing, and Jeff is up next.